What up, my people? Welcome to the I Am Alpha podcast. This is episode number 1 in season number 3. And man, we're going to start with this one being called Brotherhood. This is the name of the next 6 episodes. But we're going to get into what the name of this specific episode is in a little bit. But look, man, I want to welcome every single one of you. I am so honored to have these group of men next to me. This is over 20, 30 plus years of brotherhood. Yes. And man, I just want to start to my left and introduce every single person. And this is the way I'm going to do the introduction. All right, we'll start with you, D.
What you got?
Tell them your name, and then I'm going to tell them my first memory of you guys. Cool? All right, so starting to my left, this is my guy, D.
DeMar Williams.
All right, D. Will.
Yes, sir.
I remember the sticker 26. Do you know what that means?
The sticker 26. No, I don't.
What about the name Miss Owens?
I remember Miss Owens.
Who's that?
That was kindergarten?
Kindergarten.
That was kindergarten.
The sticker 26 represent the number that you sat on. So
am I in the circle?
In the circle.
In the little D?
It was a 3-point line.
Well, that's crazy. I thought about that the other day.
You serious?
Yeah.
It was a 3-point line. So she numbered 1, 2, 3. My number was 13.
Yeah.
His number was 26. It was like W for Williams.
Yeah.
So my first memory seeing D, and I know we're gonna dive more in depth about the neighborhood we grew up in and how it changed throughout the years, but it wasn't a lot of me and him in our class. So when I seen another black dude, I was like, there's a black guy.
Yeah. That's my brother right there.
So number 26, that's actually my first memory of D. Will in kindergarten. Go ahead.
Demarion Crite, a.k.a. D, a.k.a. D. Crite.
Yeah.
Hey. AKA 2-time All-American. Go ahead and put him all out there. D. All right, here goes D. This one's kind of a cheat code because we talked about it the other week. It was a league on East Houston called RAC. And I remember hearing about D. So I saw him in kindergarten as well. And I was tall and lanky, but it was another guy that was taller than me. So I was like, oh, another black guy. Right? So we went to, I found out where he lived, and off of Dale, they had those fields at that time. And this dude was playing football. And he was faster than me. He was more athletic than me. And I remember him playing for a team called the Longhorns with Tim Tilt, running back number 34. So when I asked him, I was like, do you remember this? He was like, he looked at me weird, like, why in the hell do you know this stuff still?
Yeah.
So that's my first memory of you, man. Cool. All right. To my right.
They call me Steven Martinez.
No, they call you
Taco.
Okay. So this is the thing about Taco. I must admit, for those that hear me talk about my childhood, his name is probably mentioned more than everybody. And so when I say the term taco or the name taco, everybody look at me like I'm low-key, I don't want to say racist, but they like, why you calling your Hispanic friend taco, right? But Steven Martinez, my first time of taco, man, I was hanging from a tree.
Hanging from a tree upside down.
Upside down.
Weird.
Just,
I was like, who's this dude?
He got off the bus. I was like, hey, you want to be my friend? So we actually.
And I was like, okay.
We haven't turned since, all right? All right, to the right.
Leroy Brooks, husband, father.
LB.
Kobe.
LB. I'm interested if he even remembers this. And we got some of our wives in here, so it's going to be cool for us to see their reaction. LB, you had a white T-shirt, and it had an S on it, I believe, for Sprint. Do you remember that T-shirt?
I do not.
It was a blue S, and it was like streaky through it. First time I saw LB, we were playing an open gym. And this dude had a spin move that was so nice. And then he went by me and did a behind the back move. And it was my first time being able to play for our school. And I was like, that's the guard I got to play with or against. So I thought, honestly, to this day, I'm proud to say I remember going home practicing in the driveway because I was like, man, I want to make the team because that dude is way better than me. And it's crazy how things turn out.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I want to introduce to all you guys. These are my brothers. I don't call them friends. Since kindergarten and up. This one, I hope the podcast is typically around 60 minutes to 70 minutes. But if we got to break this down into 2 episodes, it is what it is.
We can make it happen.
Right. It is what it is, right? And I love the fact that you guys, because I see y'all support throughout the years with the podcast, both for Mean Green and I Am Alpha. And I see y'all comments, but y'all going to really realize I don't give questions out we don't talk about what we're gonna talk about prior to the podcast.
Yeah.
We dive in. I don't know if this is gonna be a funny one because we all have our sides and stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just,
I don't
just
know.
freestyle.
Yeah, it might
just
be
let it go.
emotional. It may be motivational. So I'm curious, but definitely down below, guys. We want your feedback, and I'm curious to see what you guys say. So let's start with this, man. In no specific order, when you received that text message or phone call from me about joining this podcast, what was your first thought?
I gotta be there.
Gotta be there.
You rang. I gotta show up.
Gotta
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I know it was gonna be something special.
All right. D, what'd you say?
Got to show up, got to support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I must admit, I was a little nervous.
Oh snap! Got D quite nervous, man. D, you gonna be straight. You gonna be straight. What about you, Taco?
The first thing I said, man, I said, dang, 5 o'clock. I said, man, it's early.
when do you do a podcast?
Man, I'm a night owl, so
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
like 8, 9,
9 o'clock.
10.
9 o'clock.
I thought
11.
about that
11.
boot camp I told you when I walked up and you had them boys. I'm like, man, what he got going on with these boys? And what you told me,
The initiation. Which boards?
it was at not Gene. What is that?
Gene Green.
Gene Green. Is that
Yeah.
Gene Green?
Uh-huh.
And you had the boys and you had to write down.
Yeah, that's the initiation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, you
yeah.
remember that?
I remember that.
God,
And, you, and I asked you, I said, man, what you doing with these boys? And you said, I'm about to change your life.
I said that.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Damn.
And I sat there for a minute. I was like, is that a good thing?
It's crazy, man. You know, just to reflect, I was interested to see what you guys thought because I would do the same exact thing. You know, whether it's basketball game that Jarvis Christian's playing in, I can go support or open up a daiquiri shop, man. It's awesome to be able to have that same energy. So with today, man, I know there's a mic in front of you and there's a camera, a couple of them with all the lights, but don't hold back. Because the goal with I Am Alpha is to empower the next brother, right?
Yeah.
To communicate and allow women to know how we think and feel, but also be able to connect with society. So, again, I told Taco right before, don't be all like
Oh,
PG.
you know I ain't
but-
gonna
all
hold
right,
that.
cool.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
I'm
That's what we want.
Yeah.
So let's start here, man. What if there was a question to ask anybody here, and I hope it is one, if there's a question that you never asked one of the men that are sitting here, what question was it?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I got one for you.
Oh,
I got one for you.
you're gonna come right at me. I'm the
yeah,
host.
Yeah, bro. Because I look at, I'm telling you, I go back to when you was training at 24-hour fitness.
Okay.
Oh, no, Fitness Connection.
24.
24.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you is, how do you stay motivated?
Working out or business wise?
Working out and business-wise.
I think life, man. I think not knowing the pitch every time the pitcher throws it encourages me.
You think so?
And what I mean by that is, like, if I knew it was going to be an 84-mile fastball every single pitch, I probably would get bored.
Okay.
But just because, man, life, not just business, right, but family, friends, you know, to be honest, some of y'all seen my best days, and some of y'all seen my worst days, hard days,
Yeah.
proud days. And because I know there's always a mix-up, I'm always intrigued to pivot or, better yet, be prepared. So I think the motivation comes from different areas, right? At one point, it was my mother,
Okay.
right? At some points, it was proving those that said I couldn't do it, you know, from Coach Carlson telling me I would never be a collegiate player to the person that told me to grow a bicep to tell them how to do a bicep curl, right? Then you get married and then you have kids, you know. So I think my biggest thing is just being prepared for the next pitch that I don't know is going to be thrown out. So dope stuff. Anybody else? What's another question?
I got a question for LB.
Here it go.
What's up?
Hold up. Where's the drink at?
So LB, man, like knowing you for a very long time, man, you've always been to me very business savvy.
Right.
You know, so what motivates you to continue to just keep going after it, bro? Like, I'm very interested in knowing the mental side of how you continue to just keep wanting to grow from that standpoint.
That's real.
Yeah, I think for me it's the ultimate freedom. Like I'm trying to reach it every day. My kids now are my biggest motivation. Just trying to build for them, trying to create that legacy, man. To me right now, that's probably the most important thing there is. I want stuff. Like I want a Porsche 911 in the garage right now. You know, like I want stuff, and I go get it. But at the same time, it misses with that. And growing up, I didn't have anything. Like I remember moving to Channelview, and like people had like a pool table in their garage, go-karts, four-wheelers, and Damon, one of them. Like that's probably my question for him. Like, bro, like, man. But I had nothing. I never had a basketball goal. I remember going to their houses, and we'd hoop. Yeah. I had a basketball and a football. Like, so growing up, I didn't have nothing, and I wanted everything. My mom would tell you right now, you begged for everything and wasn't gonna get nothing because we ain't had no money to get it. So for me, just changing that landscape of things and just trying to create that future legacy for myself, my kids, and just their kids, and just keep that going.
That's dope.
Yeah, I know when LB had that blue Cavalier. He used to watch that thing every day.
We was in that thing though.
Yeah.
What?
Hey, not having something and then having something,
right?
Man,
with them tweeters.
So hold on. What car did LB have before the Cavalier?
Oh,
or was it after? That was the Cavalier the first?
Cavalier was the first.
Okay, what was the second car?
Mercedes.
Nope.
No. It was the Lexus, right?
No.
It was
a white.
It was one car before.
The Intrepid.
Nope. Nobody remember.
They don't remember.
I remember
it was
the
white.
BMW.
It was white.
I remember the 850. Was it 850?
745.
745.
Huh?
I remember
The
that.
Maxima?
Nah.
You want me to tell him?
It was the.
That was your uncle.
Yeah, Uncle had the Max.
It was the Cadillac Sedan DeVille.
Diamond in the back.
Y'all remember
Sunroof. Y'all don't remember that? Y'all don't remember that?
I used to be leaning so hard in that thing.
Too short.
I don't remember the leg.
I was almost in the back seat. Like that's how much I was.
Yeah, you can stop it. You can stop it. Yeah, man, that's funny.
I don't remember that one.
That's dope.
Yeah, he must have had it for a short period.
You had it for a minute.
I had it for a year.
Yeah,
Chris actually, because Chris had rims on his car, and I'm like, man, I need some rims.
What car?
So he took me to the spot, an Impala. He had rims on the Impala.
Oh, the green, man. You did everything to that Impala.
So
that was the green machine.
Yeah,
green machine for real.
Advertisement, rims, everything on there.
Yeah, it was my phone number on there.
Yeah,
at one point.
That ball was not playing.
Hey, by any means.
The trunk was full of any type of workout equipment.
On his Mike Jones vibe.
Hey, whoever have that car now is probably still working. It was a lot of prayer on that car. I remember I used to have to push it for it to start. I push it and put it in neutral, and push it and then get in the front seat and turn it on and it'll start. But I got Britt over here to my right laughing, so I better go to the next thing. So let me add mines in. I want to go to D. Crite. I thought about this, D, honestly, I thought about this when we had a birthday party for me at Taco's house about 3-4 years ago. I never went to you or asked you. And for those that don't know, me and D grew up since kindergarten and played I've transferred in high school. I transferred in college. And out of all the years, you're probably the person I played the most basketball with. But I never went to you and asked what you thought about me transferring, or prior to transferring, how did you feel about that? I mean, we started on 7th grade, 8th grade, played a little bit on 9th grade together, and then 10th grade. And here we're going into an important year. And then without calling the double trouble, I just went and transferred. I never knew your response. I never knew how you felt about it. And I'm curious now to ask you.
To be honest with you, I just felt like, you had to do what you had to do. Wow. I never took it personal. I knew the situation with Coach Carson. So again, like I said, I knew you had to make a move.
Wow.
But at the same time, I felt like if you had to stay, we could have done something special. We really could have done something special. We had,
the nucleus was there.
Yeah, it was there.
Yeah,
it was there.
No, it was there.
No doubt.
It was there.
It was there. And that was the tough part, because when I think about that every now and then, what it could have been. So, but again, with the situation, it's just, I feel like, you made the right move, though.
Definitely.
For yourself.
That's crazy.
So I didn't take it personal. I never held it against you, man. But it just, I felt like
crazy.
you had to do what was best for you.
The reason why I say that's crazy because I thought you was gonna be like, man, to be real, I was upset. I was pissed off. Like, how the hell you not gonna tell me you about to? We could have transferred together or something.
Yeah.
But I think that speaks volume of you and our friendship. So thank you. Y'all got anything y'all can think of?
I got one.
Oh snap!
For both of these guys.
Here we go.
How did it feel? Like both of y'all, like in high school, to me, had the best cars in high school.
What?
Like
Inkies?
yours given to you, which is incredible.
Those
I mean,
Inkies?
It's a story.
like,
it's a story
like
behind
it's like
it.
Inkies were.
It's always two sides
here
to
you
the
go,
story, though.
and then he comes and just shuts
At
things
maximum.
down. It's like, how did that feel, man? Like being able to just, rolling in high school and some of the probably the best cars at our high school, but
Absolutely.
probably on the road in Channelview, really.
I'll let you roll.
Well, I've always had a crazy side to me, and then I think just being in high school, just being young and dumb and full of energy, and just you get a car like that, and it takes a whole nother level.
We've done some things.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, so you're happy and you're proud, and you try to contain yourself as much as you can. But I mean, you're in high school. You're in high school. You're like, I gotta take a test. Man, I ain't worried about that. I'm going to the club tonight. I'm having a good time, And I just feel like I felt like I was blessed, but at the same time, I was very ignorant. So I was like, I ain't worried about that. Like, I'm gonna go do what I do.
That was 17, right?
Yeah, you like,
Yeah.
like 17 though.
Same time,
Of course you ignorant, like
Yeah.
But
That's dope.
I was happy to have it, but at the same time, I think everybody just hyping me up like, oh, I'm gonna ride with you, Tano. I'm gonna ride with you, Tano.
Oh yeah. You had a lot of friends that you didn't know you had.
You my homie?
Yeah, for real.
Right.
My situation was way different, bro. My brother came to me. He like, look, this is what you can do.
Shout out to Derek.
Yeah, shout out to Dude. He said you can hoop and you. I forgot what the statics was. He was like, you score so many points, I buy you a pair of J's or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's like, or you can get you a job and you can take my car. Because he still had a car note. So I was like, ride the bus, put a fresh pair of J's. So I chose the car.
Yeah.
So I got a job at Chili's, but I had to quit basketball. At the time,
I don't remember Damon at Chili's.
I do.
Yeah, I worked at Chili's.
Him and Tremont, right?
Terrence.
No, it was. Terrence was there.
Yeah,
Terrence was there, and then it was Chili's, then Papados, Papa's, then Papacito.
Everybody worked.
Everybody worked at Papa's.
We might as well have an episode called Papa's.
Man, that's a whole different episode.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, the name of the episode is called The Green. All right. Not the herbal green, right? But the neighborhood we grew up in, Sterling Green, right?
Green.
Some of us have kids, some of us don't, right? Thinking of us at the age of 10. Let's go 13. That's middle school? 13?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you tell the younger, where you have them, what would you tell the younger Damon? We were kind of talking about this prior to us getting started a little bit.
Have conversations. At the age he's at right now, I'm trying to get him to get more in tune with things that he likes to do, love to do, and not too much focused on what everybody else likes to do.
I love it. I love it.
Because they got all this information in front of them, YouTube, social media, and they tend to like what the crowd is like.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get them to like more or so what they like.
I love it. D, what you got? You talking to the younger D. Cripe?
See, I'm gonna piggyback off of Damon a little bit. So I would say, just be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't follow the crowd. It's okay to be unique.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a leader. So just be yourself and don't worry about trying to be somebody that you're not.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Taco.
I would have to say a few things. I would say maybe like be careful how you carry yourself, because nowadays it's a lot different from how we used to grow up. Nowadays, everybody I know carries a gun. Everybody. And back in the days, it was, we throw hands like, hey, meet me outside. I'm going to pull up on your street or whatever, So things like that, you have to be real careful about how you step, and how you approach people and what you say and all this and that. And also about opportunities, I think opportunities come a lot faster nowadays, because back then, when we wanted to find information out, we had to read the newspaper. Oh, how many points did this guy score yesterday in the game? And like technology has taken us to a whole nother level to where, I mean, back then I never heard of kids being 10, 13, 15 years old entrepreneurs.
Right.
Now kids, they got their own little website, their own little business going, and it's
making
just
that money.
They take off like that, to where our generation was more like, go to the library with your library card.
Ever heard of reference cards?
And read up about it, and and that all took time. It took time. And it's just, I think the process was a lot slower back then. But I think that going that route, you also instill in yourself a little bit more. You kind of respect it a little bit more, because you had to work a lot harder to get to where you were at.
What you wanted.
To where nowadays all the kids got it at their fingertips and they don't even realize it, because that's just normal to them. Everybody got an iPad and a PlayStation 5 and a TV in their room and Jordans on their feet, and it's just it's just a different era, man. Everybody, the waves changed.
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
No, well said. What about you, LB? What would you tell your little girls at 13?
My young girls at 13, everything. I'm going to just be brutally honest about it all. Even the uncomfortable conversations, I'm just going to have them. But if they're anything like me, just tell them, just take your time. Like, don't worry about everything. When I was at that age, I worried about everything. I let everything get to me. I carried my emotions on my sleeve. Like, I worried about every single thing. Not having anything, wanting to do stuff, not able to do. So just take your time.
I like that. I like that. And the reason why I ask all of you guys that is because I think it's important that we dig a little deeper into what our reactions were right then. Because it's easy to say, it's just think of the Bertos and the older coaches and teachers we had. It was like, man, back when I was your age, or I would be doing this. Right now we have an opportunity to really sow a seed. I don't know this. I really don't know this when I ask this. This is out of ignorance. Think of high school. Think of middle school. Middle school and high school, I would say. Yeah, middle school, high school. If y'all are open to it, did any of us deal with depression or anxiety or stress or isolation? And the reason why I ask that is because hearing you guys' reaction is like you're correcting what you potentially thought at one moment, right? Like, for example, D said, I'm using for example, not saying this is the truth, but D said, man, be yourself, be unique, be a leader. So I'm curious, did he ever think back like, man, I could have been a leader at this moment, or I was taller than everybody, I could have been more proud of that, because honestly, I remember, true story, D Will. Me and D Will had handles, right? He had all the dribbles, and I wanted to be a point guard. But at that time, I couldn't dribble the ball. So I went home. I did two things that's really weak, and I'm going to say it. The first one, some of y'all know, I went to my mom and told her I wanted to be light-skinned. I had a Drake moment, because my mom was light-skinned, and I thought she was beautiful. And
you told your mom what?
Ain't nothing wrong with that, though.
I've never heard him say that.
It's nothing wrong being light-skinned. But I cried to my mom one day, and I was like, yo.
Definitely since you saw somebody, your mom.
It was my mom. It was my mom. It probably had something to do with Tremone, too, because all the chicks like Tremone. But I told her I wanted to be light skinned. But the second thing I told her, and to this day, it gives me chills thinking of her response. I remember being in the kitchen we had a little yellow refrigerator, and I was taller, and I was like, man, Damon, man, he's cool. He got handles. I like his height. Mom, why am I so tall? Thank you. And she told me, she's like, it's beauty in your height. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be able to do some things in your height. Don't self-corrupt yourself because you're not what you want to be visually.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm asking y'all that question because I really truly believe somebody is either mentoring somebody or listening. And you don't have to be 14, bro, or you may be 39, you may be 57, and you're dealing with some of the things that we may mention right now when we talk about things that we went through internally. Because at the end of the day, we produce and show what we want externally. Mm-hmm. But the goal with I Am Alpha is to dig in with some of the things we deal with internally. Right. So I was just curious from bro to bro, thinking back to you at 13 or giving yourself or your daughter or your sons different feedback based upon your experience. Is there anything y'all dealt with internally that we can kind of talk about openly?
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll put y'all on the spot.
Definitely. I got cut. I ain't make the team in junior high.
When?
I ain't make 8th grade. No, yeah, I ain't make the team.
Really?
I got cut. Yes, I got cut by
Coach Rob.
Coach Rob. Coach
In
Rob
8th
cut
grade?
me. Yes,
Really?
Coach Rob cut me.
Yeah,
Them handles ain't give me there, bro.
I'm trying to remember.
Who did he pick
I
over
don't
you?
remember that.
TC. He picked TC.
Oh, okay. TC did play.
Yeah, he
with
picked
us.
TC.
Yeah.
See?
Okay, this is gonna be interesting.
TC and Gerard.
Yeah, he picked TC.
So, okay, talk about that. You tried out.
Yeah, did good. I mean, but TC was the new guy, and you know what TC had over me at the time? Defense.
He decent boys up.
Yeah,
Man.
Interesting.
Yeah, I got cut, bro. I got
Yeah,
cut. I took that L hard. It's hard watching y'all play. And
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
then you
crazy.
came back and played in 9th grade,
Ninth
right?
grade, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, you did.
So, okay, that's interesting because we all grew up together.
Yeah.
What was that like? Like, you said tough. Did you go to any of the games?
Oh, of course, I was there. I might not have been like front center on the front line. I was
Right.
up there in the bleachers,
Right.
but I was
'Cause,
there.
you know, the thing that come to me is like kids mean as hell.
They are.
You know what I mean? So I'm thinking of, I'm not going to say no names, but I'm guessing y'all probably think of some of the names of the same people I'm thinking of when they made fun of people. That's just what they did every day. Did you ever interact with that? Like, did people kind of come at you sideways?
Of course. I don't want to say his name either. I want to say his name.
I bet we all thinking of the same person.
I want to say his name so that way if he watches the podcast, he can come reach out to us. I ain't seen him in years, but he was a good dude though. Good dude.
Okay.
Good dude. He was just one of the ones. He had that tough love, and he gonna give it to you. And I heard it from him every day. Every day.
So what made you come back for 9th grade?
Oh, because I had to. I couldn't take that L. Come on. So over the summer we played in the streets. Did what we did. I used to dribble up and down the street
Handles, y'all.
all day.
So
That's all I did.
this is interesting, and wifey's here too, so she can comment as well. What experience have you had with your sons? Have that happened, or they wanted to do something and it didn't go the way they wanted it, and this came back into your mentality or your heart?
Not that I can think of off top. I'm actually trying to keep it from happening. I might not be able to do that, but I'm gonna try. So I always tell him to like work, stay ready, work out when you can. Even though he tends to do it when he wants to do it on his own time, but I want to help him prepare for it. So when that opportunity comes, he's already ready for it.
Interesting. I love it. Appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
Appreciate that. Anybody else? Me and be lying.
I'm trying to think, man. But I don't think I have.
I give you one. So the first time I ever dealt with death was extremely tough for me. So I talk about my mom a lot, but that wasn't the first person that I was super close with that I lost. Like I lost my grandmother, my grandfathers, some aunts, but when AJ died, that was hard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
True story. AJ died early September. It was right when you were supposed to go back to school in college. It was my junior year. That's the year I actually transferred. So, coach know, my mom know, but a lot of people don't know. Like I missed school. I missed like 2 weeks of conditioning for right when school started. At the school I was at, we go in and condition volunteering. I wasn't going. So one day he just kind of like kept calling me. Obviously, I was wrong. I should have communicated better, honestly. And I showed up one day, and he just went off on me. He's a coach. He's supposed to. And I just told him, man, my best friend died. And I didn't know how to react. And then I think a week later, Natasha or somebody else passed away. It was a back-to-back death.
Probably Natasha.
I think it was Tasha.
Was Natasha. Yeah. So, like, I just basically told him, like, yo, I'm just dealing with a lot. I lost my best friend. He kind of snapped at me, and that's ended up one reason why I actually transferred, because he started talking to my mom crazy. But dealing with that was, looking back now at the 37 going on 38, Chris, I just didn't communicate it. And I think sometimes, and I'm curious what you guys think, getting wise counsel, whether it's a counselor or someone that you can sit down and talk to, I bottled that in for so long, and it potentially made me transfer from a school that I didn't have to transfer from.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot different if I just would have communicated. I should have went to a counselor. I should have told my mom or my dad or one of y'all, right?
Yeah.
But as men, sometimes we feel like, yo, I don't need no help, or I'm considered weak if I tell somebody that I'm sad, or because what happens is you start isolating yourself, right? If you don't see Chris at the court, where is Chris?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all I did, right? I'm not at the club at that time, right? I wasn't married at the time. I didn't have kids. So I probably was literally in my room. And I remember just now experiencing death more, right? I understood then that I needed to communicate better. Yeah. So, like, I'm opening that up for potentially for y'all to maybe put something in y'all head where y'all might can dig deep and kind of pronounce. But I just wanted to mention that because, man, getting counsel, guys, is not weak. And sometimes you don't necessarily have to go get a counselor if you don't feel like you need to do that. Yeah. But at least tell somebody. And I think this is I Am Alpha.
Yeah.
Sitting down with your brothers, with your friends, and be able to communicate that. Because I believe if I'd have went to LB at that time, or Taco, or Damon, or D. Crite, and told them, like, man, losing AJ bothered me. And I don't even want to go back to school. Yeah. I could see LB like, hey, bro, like, you got to call your coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all it took. It was a text message. I could have just literally said, hey, coach, my best friend got murdered. I don't know how to handle it. Yeah. I need a couple days away. And that could have came from that could have came because I had a friend or brother or mentorship. So, again, telling the younger Chris, that's one thing I wish I could have told him. Like, you don't got to go necessarily see a counselor. You should, but at least communicate and talk to somebody about it. Yeah. Anything else top of your head? And if y'all don't have anything, I'm gonna move on to the next one. But anything else that internally that you potentially dealt with as a kid or middle school, high school?
I'll piggyback off of that because I mean, a lot of death is very tricky because everybody handles it a different way. Right. And I know a lot of people might not know, but when I was younger, I had a younger brother. Yeah. That passed away, and I want to say I was like
first
5. Maybe something like that. And he was barely about to be 2, and then he got sick.
Same age as
passed away. And as a kid, I mean, you know, even as adults, after going through a lot of things in life, adults don't know how to handle it sometimes. So as a kid, you don't have anywhere to turn to because you're just like, man, what just happened? Like, you don't understand it because you haven't been through that before. You haven't seen it before. So going through that as a child, it was difficult because I didn't know if it was okay to talk about it. Right. I didn't know if it was okay to be sad about it or hurt about it, or how long should it hurt, and you know, when is this gonna go away, and you know, so you kind of just have to go day by day as best as you can. As a kid, you're thinking like this, you know, and to this day still affects me because I feel like I got cheated, you know, like
absolutely.
AJ, you know, with AJ, I was a little older, you know, I was a lot more rugged back then, still a little rugged now, but I was real rugged back then, and when that hit me, my first thought was like retaliation, you know, like bro, like we don't fold like that, like that's not me. And it was anger to where my brother passed away. It was more hurt than it was anger, but when AJ passed away, I think it was more anger. Because of how it went down, you know. Yeah. And I was and that to this day still bothers me. Absolutely. You know, because there was so many different things that we could have done at that time in our life where, you know, we could have avoided a lot of things that happened.
Yeah. Man, you ain't lying.
And at the end of the day, like, AJ was his own dude. You know, I'd sit there and try to beat it in his head, like, hey man, hey,
he's gonna do what he want to do.
He gonna do what he do.
Chill over here, come do this, come do that, and he was always doing his own thing. You know, so
that's real.
Respect due.
Respect, dude.
Yeah.
Respect, dude.
Respect. I remember that was his first tattoo.
His first tattoo.
And I remember
I hated it. I hated that tattoo.
We all did.
That tattoo.
Yeah.
But no, Taco, that's real. I remember that.
That, you know, just going through things like that. I mean, you know, being a child and going through something like that, and then being a young man going through something like that. You know, you lose a younger brother as a kid. and then you lose like another brother as a young man, and you look at it and you just like, you know,
it's hard to process.
It's hard to process, but you have to somehow, some kind of way, you have to find a way to keep going. You know, you just it's hard to put into words because a lot of times there are no words for certain feelings you feel.
Yeah.
And you know, going through that in life, you try to do as best as you can, but that's something that would kind of
that's hard.
If you don't handle it the right way, it can bring you down, you know, and it can stop you from you know
that's hard.
Completing other goals in your life. You know, it's like a roadblock sometimes.
So to piggyback on you, what you said, the main thing is allow yourself to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Vulnerability allows you to grow.
Absolutely. And I'm not trying to put a topic out there, so please do not go crazy in the comment section when I say what I'm about to say. And when I say this, this is when I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm gonna freaking say it because I want to. I think that's why little girls at that time progress and process things and become more mature. You know, have you ever heard like, oh man, the girl that's 20 is more mature than the guy that's 20, right? I think part of that's because they express the way that they feel internally. Yeah. And men sometimes don't, and we bottle up, and because of that, sometimes we don't grow. Yeah. Like because of like Chris, for example, I can't speak about you, bro, but for me specifically, dealing with AJ or dealing with some other things when I was younger, I potentially held on to things, and because of that, I didn't communicate. I didn't reach out. I didn't develop, and because of that, maybe I didn't mature as fast as Damon or D. Cried or whoever. So the whole point of this, man, is to let you know, bro, that it's okay to communicate, right? And also want our women to know that sometimes we got going on. Yeah. Right? There's some things we haven't unpacked. Yeah. And you sometimes something's triggered in our life, and then you wonder why we snapped a little bit or why we shut up. You know, like if you ever talk to a dude, it can be a husband of 20, it can be the dude you just met, and you happen to say something, he just shut up, you triggered something. Right? Like for me, for example, with AJ, if you say something like, man, it's ignorant when people start living a lifestyle that's aggressive, and it puts them in a position to be around people they shouldn't be around. That's stupid. Why would somebody do that? I'm going to shut up. Yeah. Because that's something that's really close to me. Yeah. So, again, bro and sis, man, we can obviously spend time on this, but I do want to navigate and travel through some more experiences. But I just want you to know that you can open up. I'm going to ask LB a question. This one's interesting because I'm trying to time travel from where we been to where we're at now. Kindergarten. I think before I got to kindergarten, seventh grade. Right. So here LB come in. We're all in middle school now, and it's interesting because I said earlier when I first was in elementary, East Houston, China View, where we grew up, the minority was Hispanic and black. It's different now. It's different now. It started, I think, shifting by middle school for us, getting to high school. Yeah. But true story, my older brother, not Milton, the one older, Sean, he was the first black quarterback. Like, if I told anybody else that know me now, and I'm like, hey, my brother was the first black quarterback where we grew up, better yet, Shanna, first black head cheerleader. Like, they gonna be like, man, where did you grow up? Right. But it's the truth. So I don't remember that 7th grade era, but I'm curious to ask you now. What was that like coming from the neighborhood you came from? Was it kind of like, ooh, this is Saved by the Bell, or it's kind of like Saved
by the Bell? What you think? Man, yeah, I mean, it was definitely completely different. Like, I went to school with nothing but black kids. Yeah. Like, maybe there was a white kid every so often, but mostly black. And then I came to Channelview, complete culture shock, but it was it definitely benefited me in my life though, right? Because now I know how to navigate everybody. Yeah, I speak to a lot of people, and they just feel a certain way when they're having to communicate with someone who they've never had to really communicate with, and they have a hard time with it. They don't even really know how to move in those situations. So for me, I feel like, man, I was blessed to come
Absolutely.
over and get it. But yeah, definitely a shell shock though.
It was interesting because now it's totally different. It is totally different on the east side, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that shift, but specifically, you know, as I know y'all hear my little mini me's. It is what it is.
Green
going
bean.
hard right now.
Shout out Green Bean.
Shout out to Green Bean. When we were little, I realized racism at a very young age. Right.
Sorry.
And growing up in my household, for those that know my dad, he didn't sugarcoat life.
Yeah.
And now I'm curious when all of us experience what we experience with different cultures, right? From the shift of being around the minority or not minority for your culture, skin color. What was that like? And I'll start with Taco first. Taco is interesting because Taco, obviously you can see, he is my brother, but he is Hispanic, right?
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
But Taco, he kind of hard to label because he like a mix of John B, Mike Bibby. You know, you're a mix of everything. But I'm curious to ask you this question. This is what I was getting to, because you hung around a lot of black guys and Hispanic guys. But growing up, did people kind of come at you different because you hung with a whole bunch of black dudes?
I would say yes and no. I would say in my younger days, no. But as we got a little older, maybe like middle school, that's when the crowd started to happen. Like, over here, you know, this crowd hangs out. You know, you got the gothic people, you got the nerds, you got, you know, the athletes, you got different groups. So people kind of start to segregate a little bit, and that's when you're more identifiable. Is when they're saying, "Hey, you're hanging over there at that group. Like, what's up?" You know. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, dealing with that, I would say I hit it right around middle school, and for me, I didn't see it that way.
Yeah,
I think that was like the curve in my life where everything I wanted to do was competitive. Like, I wanted to play sports.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted to pick up a football, pick up a basketball. Like, that's all I wanted to do, and it was just by coincidence I grew up on Goswell, you know, and that, man, our block was jumping.
The block is hot.
The block was jumping every week.
Yeah,
every week, everybody would just pull up over there, and it was just, you know. But then again, everybody that pulled up was 98% black, probably, you know. Yeah. And so me just being the only Mexican guy out there, I didn't look at it as from a color standpoint. I looked at it like, man, like, these dudes crave the same thing I crave, which is being competitive.
Right.
And that's how I looked at it. Like, I looked at it like, man, this dude's good, and, you know, this dude's not.
We wanted to play the best.
Yeah. So that's I separated people by their athleticism and the passion that they had, you know, or the passion that we both shared.
I love that.
That's how I separated people. So
that's dope,
I never looked at it as color, because I guess coming from that, I from the get-go could point out somebody and say, oh man, you know, they're being racist or they're narrow-minded, and I just knew just to kind of stay away, because they're not in my lane, you know. I'm on doing something completely different, so it never bothered me, you know, at all.
I love that. I got one more childhood question, and I'm gonna go to D. Cripe with it, and then I want to kind of go to where we're at now. And it's interesting now hearing LB's response, you know, in Tacos, because looking back now, y'all gonna laugh. Some of y'all might. Even though the Hispanic and black community on the east side wasn't what it is now, it wasn't like high class or middle class. Like, looking back, when I transferred to West Side, true story. I transferred to West Side, and we came and played Channelview for a scrimmage. I don't know if y'all remember that. You remember that?
No. Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that?
I remember that.
So the team, they in West Houston, so that's Westheimer and Richmond and Eldridge.
Yeah.
They pulled up to Channelview. They like, man, we feel bad for you, dog. I was like, why? Like, I never noticed it, right? So they were just kind of like, man, like, I thought I grew up in rough times, man. Y'all grew up in rough times. So we exited. We went I-10 and exit Sheldon.
Oh,
yeah. That's That's horse and carriage.
So I didn't get it. I didn't get into after the game though. So after like everybody like Tracy, Trey, Tyrone, he had to go too. All of them just like, man, dog, like. Man, I thought I had it rough. So after the game, they was just like, man, like, are we gonna go the same direction? And I was like, why? He's just like, man, I kind of, want to see your house that you grew up in. And I didn't get it. So I was like, all right, bet. So instead of, coming out on making a left, we're making a right on, was that Wood Forest? No, that's
Wood Forest.
No,
Wood Forest.
Wood Forest.
Right on Wood Forest.
So he's like, no, where are you going? I was like, no. He's like, no, I want to go see your house. You live in one of the trailer homes over there, right? And I was like, hold on, I get it. We grew up in a neighborhood called Sterling Green, and then I had to break that down. But, looking back now, even though there was, especially not necessarily for us, but more so for Milton, my older brothers, Sean and Robert, they dealt with things that I've seen that's like crazy, but it wasn't from a place of one culture doing way better than the other. Everybody was in the same mud, so it was interesting. But to kind of segue to this, D, and then we'll go to kind of where we're at now, and then we have some treats for everybody. All right, I hope y'all like treats.
Definitely.
D, two-parent household, raised by your mother and grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back now, is that a difference? Do you see a difference from the way you grew up, the conversations that you did or maybe you didn't have with your mother and father, versus your wife's obviously in education? You see some of the youth she deals with and just life experiences. Do you think that plays a major role, the way we grew up, from having people there, whether it's a mother, grandmother, father? I'm curious to see your feedback.
I mean, I think it does play a major role versus having a mother and a father in the house versus just having one or the other.
Okay.
You get to see, as a kid, you get to see both sides of it. A mother, being able to teach you and explain certain things to you. Having a father in the house, to have that father figure.
Yeah.
To be able to, teach you and show you different things about being a man.
Yeah.
And I think, as a kid, as a boy, or even as a young man, it's difficult for that individual to learn how to be a man without a father figure in the house. So I think there is a difference between, having a father and a mother in the house versus just having one parent in the home.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Do you will?
Oh, I
Same
agree.
question.
I agree. It don't matter. It's certain things that the mother can't and will not teach to the son. Every son needs that masculinity from their father, regardless on if their father's in his life like that. They still need that. They gonna fiend for that. They gonna get it from somewhere. Either they gonna get it from their father or they gonna homeboys, friends.
Absolutely.
That's why you got a lot of kids that join gangs because they getting that from gang members. Stay away from that. But you definitely see a big difference in a two-parent household versus a one-parent household.
Dope. LB, coming from a household with an unbelievable strong women between your mother and your grandmother, I'm always
shout out mom and grandma.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm always, when I see them, and it's so cool, bro. And I'm not saying that just because I don't have my mom right now. It's just so cool to see you around your mother and grandmother and the connection y'all have. Like, it's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, and shout out to your uncle as well.
Yep. Big part,
That's that masculinity right
there.
Yeah,
and he came at the right time,
Because that was my question.
Yeah.
What was that like growing up with a grandmother and mother, right? And then looking and you like, dang, Taco got Sam. What we call, shout out to my guy Sam. That's Taco's dad. You got Mr. Green, you got Mr. Craig, Mr. Williams. Like, you seen all your homies have fathers. What was that like for you?
Man, honestly, I never even thought about it when I was younger. Seeing it, with y'all, I never thought about it. And I think maybe because my uncle, like, right around 13 or whatever, he really started, like, coming picking me up, taking me with him and his boys, doing stuff with him. And I think that's when it was like, man, like, you right on time, bro, because I was super I hate to say it, but for the most part, I acted like a woman would react, in certain situations, right? Like I said earlier, I wear my emotion on my sleeve, so I get into an altercation and I'm just super emotional about it. Like I'm talking, I'm ready to fight, whatever. I never had that strong, like just masculine look at things when I was younger. So I fought everything, every single thing.
Yeah.
And just didn't learn to. All right, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
So my uncle came in my life. Great time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Shout out to Unc, man.
Unc cool too.
Yeah, cool. Shout out. He had the ladies looking at us when we came from that concert when he let us drive his car.
Hey,
Man.
I thought I was doing something,
bro.
I thought I was cute. It was the car.
Yeah, we. that's what we thought.
But it was the car. It was the car.
the car.
So I want to go a little bit further in, and then we're gonna go into our treat that we have. We have a sponsor. We finally got a freaking sponsor here at the I Am Alpha, man. Holla at the sponsor. So, but before we go to that, kind of the mother-father household, right? And then we talked about LB. I want Taco's reaction on this one, and I know he remembers it, and I know you remember it because you had something to do with it. One of the best father moments that I remember came from your dad. All right. Long story short, and Tina say when I say long story short, it's about to be a long ass story, right? But I'm gonna make this short as possible. Going to Demond house, there were some people that was a different gender from me, and we were out there really, really late. Oh. And
yes.
we get arrested.
Oh, yes. Yes.
We get arrested, and we didn't do anything. Honestly, we really didn't do anything, right? And this is the funny part, and then I'm going to come to where Sam came in, I thought did great. And I'm about to speed up because I want to really get through this story fast. So flirting with little girls, whatever. It's about 2, 3 in the morning. I don't know why we were out that late on a school night, but we were there, right? So end up playing in a vacant house, and the game was, if you remember,
Hey, but real quick,
what you got?
Said 2 or 3 in the morning on a school night.
I know.
That should let people know the lifestyle we had.
We were doing too much. Yeah. My mom was just tired, but I was seventh child out of it. She just like go. But we playing the game. Cops are coming, and we'll run out the house, and there was no cops. And then finally, one time, the cops were really in. They're like, the cops coming. I'm like, they about to get me this time. I was like, I'm holding it down, ass. Next thing, I felt a gun in the back of my head. Get down to the floor. Long story short, we got arrested. Stayed overnight, but it was funny because Taco and Demond ran away. Yeah. And they got away, and the cops came, and they were in. What's your homeboy?
Derek. Shout out to Derek. We ran in his garage.
Oh, we did run in his garage. I remember that.
They was working on it was him and Roy was in there too.
Wow, Shout out to all Roy. Up in the middle of the night.
They was working on the car. They was into. They was into cars, and we ran in the garage, and cops pulled up, and unfortunately, they took one person out that garage, and that was me.
Yeah, they took Demond, but they left Taco.
In the garage. They thought he belonged.
Yeah, I was like, hey, these my cousins right here.
Story. So
I ain't snitch on them.
You held it down, bro. You just So basically, all the black guys went to jail that night, right? Taco played it off, but this was so cool. This was one of the best father moments. So the next day, we have to tell everybody's parents. So everybody that was there knew. Like your dad knew, mom, everybody. Taco got away. Check this out. Taco was good. But Taco was like, yo, because they were trying to say we stole dishwashers and washing machines. So they was going to process us on that. And my dad's like, man,
I think they said we destroyed property.
Yeah, I think they said they broke the windows and stuff like that.
And we stole dishwashers. Supposedly, I remember that. I remember that because my dad was like, I remember him talking to the cops like, how would they pick out a washing machine and run out with it? But we was gonna get processed, like charged. So my dad was like, well, we'll pay for it. Like, don't process no 13. Yeah, we were 13, y'all. Don't process these kids. So we had to pay for it. He didn't. But Taco, being Taco, is like, nah, this ain't right. Like, I'm gonna tell my dad. So I'm thinking in my head, like, why? Like, why you about to? You like? So that's why you see he my boy. So Taco tell his dad, Sam. I don't know if you remember that. Sam walked down to my house.
I think so, and I was like, dang, why you going down?
So Taco, like, he started stuttering, and my dad was right there, and Taco was like, man, Dad, we went out. If y'all know Taco, he tries to paint the picture.
Yeah.
We went out. We was having a little bit too much fun, Dad. And, things got out of control. And some of my friends got arrested. And I was with them. And I didn't get arrested, but they were trying to basically charge us. And my dad was there. He's like, and we don't want those kids to be processed, these 13-year-old kids. And Sam was like, oh, well, how can I help? No, my son was there. I'm going to pitch in, basically. And I remember, Taco looking defeated.
Yeah. And
I remember he looked at Taco and, kind of grabbed him by his shoulder and said, boys going to be boys. You're good. Just don't do it again.
Yeah.
And I remember walking away number one, hell no, I'm never doing this again. It was April Fool's. And for those that have ever been arrested, you actually can hear the person when you call them. So it was like, hey, this is Harris County calling for Christopher Green. Mm-hmm. And I heard my mom was like, quit playing on my damn phone. So they called back again. This is Harris County. This is a collect call from Mama, this ain't a joke. And Melton ended up answering the phone. Was like, oh, gave my phone to my mom. But I remember walking away when that happened. I remember and truthfully, Taco, I don't know if you remember this, but if you do, definitely tell me the detail. I remember him saying, boys, gonna be boys. However I can help, I got it, Mr. Green. We'll all pitch in together. And y'all just don't do this again. And he walked off, and he had his arm around my shoulders, and I walked back down the street. And I looked like, damn, that's a good father.
Yeah, man.
I don't know what he did, but it wasn't and Taco, to me, you wasn't a bad kid at all. You was always very reserved, made great decisions.
At that point.
I mean, Taco started getting wild by 17, 18.
But he definitely was, because he admitted to something that his dad didn't even know nothing about.
That's what I'm saying.
So
he was good.
You already set the bar right there.
Yeah.
So hearing that, man, looking back, thinking of your father now, what's something you hold on to and something you would pass forward hearing that story again? Knowing that boys, girls gonna make mistakes or things don't go their direction. What's the verdict from you? Is it, chastisement? Is it, hey man, life happens? I'm curious after saying that and hearing that, what's your response?
I would say, a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, I say me. I'm the type of person you can sit there and tell me, but I have to go through it for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to see it firsthand. So whenever me and my dad were walking away that day, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was more of the tune to I hope you learn your lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do this again. Hope you learn your lesson. And he's my dad's OG, real cool.
Chi-town.
He's like, hey man, just it's just leave it at that.
What's crazy about that is I think of Leroy now. You know what I mean? Because you didn't necessarily have a Sam. It might have been your uncle, right? But I'm hoping and praying when people hear this and see this that there's two different households, but both successful guys, right? So again, I think that's the part where I Am Alpha or our voices play a huge role in communicating with you. And there's no perfect life situation at the end of the day. Every single one of us have a different experience when it comes to life, but the ultimate goal is for you to move forward. So I was really appreciative to see that from Sam. I want to talk a little bit about what we're about to get in our hands. I hope y'all thirsty.
Thirsty.
Hey, what you used to do Thirsty Thursdays?
I used to have okay, we ain't go there. We got the wives over there.